Welcome. If you're watching this as a recording or just joining in, this is our first test at a webinar using Zoom as a way of connecting with our alumni and advertising those out through our brand new platform we're calling BYU-Hawaii Connect. So with me today on this webinar are a few of my coworkers, William, Jeff, Kenny may be joining on as well, and just together we're going to be exploring some of the best practices, some of the kind of standard uses of this new tool as we can see them right now, and looking into some of the ways in which they could, the system could be used in the future. So I guess for everyone who's attending, you'll notice that you don't have a video and you don't have a way of communicating by audio. That is part of the kind of benefit, I guess you can think of it that way, of using the webinar feature. We can do this with thousands of people and not have a volume overload of people speaking. But you certainly can use the chat feature and the Q&A feature. So look on the bottom of your screen and there'll be a way for you to communicate with us there. And we'll be answering questions throughout. So if you have questions pop up, me and my panelist friends will be answering those. You may as well go ahead and test it. Go ahead and use it just for fun to see how that works for you. Submit a question and we'll get those answered. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with a word of prayer, and then we'll dive into explaining some of the ways we think that BYU-Hawaii Connect could be used. So I'll go ahead and say a prayer. Our good Father in heaven, we are thankful to Thee for the privilege of being associated in the cause of BYU-Hawaii, and we're thankful for the opportunity that we have today to investigate the use of a new tool, for bringing us together and helping us help one another. We ask that Thy Spirit will be with us, and we say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Maybe a weird thing about a webinar is you don't hear anybody else say amen. Just prayed to the silence. That was, I felt like a normal prayer, but with a bunch of people listening in, I guess. But anyways, moving along. Before I go in a moment here, I'll share the screen. But before I jump in and do that, I'll go over some of the student needs, the alumni needs, and the BYU-Hawaii administrative needs that we think that this software could be solving. So first off with students. What do students need? I suggest that from what we've learned from our surveying can be summarized with two needs. Students need both profound and broad support. By way of profound support, I mean they come to a university away from high school and their home place, a place where they had exposure to only a few things and not quite very deep exposure. And they come to a university where they have the opportunity of being exposed to many things, even deeply in some regards. But that service of the university is provided to the student in a lot of little fragments. It's a semester, totaling up to a full degree. But even those semesters are broken down into class. And there are a few things that tie that experience together into one cohesive whole and really help the student make sense of the whole thing. So that's what I'm going to call just kind of deep or profound guidance, someone who can help the student make sense of the entire experience that they're having at college, where their college professors and even guidance counselors can be there to help them with a particular need, understanding the entire thing or themselves in the context of the entire thing. There's something of a gap there. The other thing that they need is broad exposure. And so we think of this as just exposure to many different perspectives. There's mom and dad's ideas of what I should do for a career and how I should spend my life. There's my professors and my friends. But the broader they can get that, the more chance they're going to find the path that truly suits them. Open up ideas that the Holy Ghost can say, boom, that's it. You should look into that. So we need to provide an opportunity for students. Students have this need for broad exposure and that deep exposure. The broad exposure is something that they get from talking with many people. All right, that's students. On their side, we see alumni with a few needs. The alumni need to identify their peers around them for a number of different reasons, even if it's just for the sake of wanting to connect with old friends, but also perhaps for some very practical reasons like searching for and applying for jobs, helping each other find and network their ways into better career positions. They need to organize events and communication around their chapter activities. So maybe they're a chapter president or even just a member of an alumni association chapter, and they need a way to get together a little bit more, in a little bit more organized fashion. And maybe lastly, they want to find a way of giving back to the university in increasingly meaningful ways. As a university system, we do pretty good at inviting people to give of their money. That's actually not that hard to scale up. We can call a bunch of people or send out a lot of emails and mailers, and not really have to engage you very long, or it's a short transaction to have you do something very special and sacred, that is giving money. But it's harder to scale up opportunities for many people to engage meaningfully in a donation of time and talent. And so but we all want to. We all feel like, hey, well, that's what I'd like to give back, not just money or in addition to money. And so that's a need. That's a little bit of a gap. And all the things I've mentioned so far, student gaps, alumni gaps, these needs that are unmet, they're things that we want to meet. Our department, if you don't know me yet, my name is Mark McDonald. I'm the director of the Alumni Career Services Department, and my colleagues on the call, we're all employees in that department. Our department exists to help students prepare for and transition into successful careers, and then as alumni to continue to enjoy a fruitful life. Especially, we think of it as we help alumni to fulfill the mission statement of the university, which almost, if you read it word for word, it talks about something that is done after one leaves the university, not as much when they're here on campus. Providing leadership, for example, in their homes, their communities, their chosen fields, and in building the kingdom of God. Much of that is done after graduation. So we very much want to help bring these two parties together, students and alumni, in a way that will help accomplish the mission of our department. So we see BYU-Hawaii Connect, this new platform powered by a software provider called People Grove, as a solution to all of the needs that I've addressed so far. And to address those, I'll jump in a moment here to a demo. But before I do so, maybe let's just see if panelists want to jump on, say anything. Have I missed anything, or are there Q&As out there we want to talk about? Are we good? Give me a thumbs up, Jeff. We're good to go. Will, we're good to go. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. Fantastic. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to show you first what it looks like when you first log in. Now, if you found this event, it's probably because you have logged in already, or you obviously work in the department and you're helping us test this out. But this is what BYU-Hawaii Connect looks like when you first log in, right? It's as it says here, it's a way for us to come together through purposeful mentoring and connection. The tab that describes how that can happen between students and alumni, and a tab that describes how alumni can connect with other alumni. And it's obviously not built out yet. There's a little good thing we've learned from this webinar. We need to finish that tab. But anyways, once one logs in, then it looks like this on the home tab. Here we go. The home page shows you as an alum, this is what it looks like for alumni. You have a little dashboard right here, shows you how to sync your calendar, which is a really useful thing. Here we'll see in a minute. Inbox, where you can see the people you've connected with. You can update your own profile. You've probably already seen all this, so I won't go over the basics. If you haven't already done a matching survey, it'll ask you 3 or 4 questions here, and then find others in the community that have shared interests with you, and will match you up or recommend those people for you, which you can then connect with. And we'll go through that in a second. Finish this though. Down here, recent posts. These are resources that are just highlighted. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Those are discussion threads. Yeah, that's from the discussion tab out here that are just highlighted up there as new ones. So recent posts, latest resources. Then these are things that we share. The community can post in the discussion forum. But as admins, we're the ones posting resources in here. Alumni spotlights, student spotlights, career resources, other things like that we'll be sharing there. And then upcoming events. Here's the event that we're doing right now, how to make the most of BYU-H Connect, and other events that I'll talk about here in a minute that we think of doing, like sharing BYU-Hawaii success stories, students who are out there now as alumni making the world a better place. So anyways, that's that tab. But let me just go in first though and show you this. This is really exciting. So the Explore the Ohana tab is, and Gail, I know you're watching. If you're still tuned in, you take note of this, because this is gone live for us just 2 days ago. This is what the improved UI, user interface, looks like here on the community tab. So you have a number of filters up here. You can search by industry. You want to see all the people that are studying accounting or in automotive or construction and design. It'll show you people who match all four of those. You can further winnow down by help topics that those people are willing to help with, general advice and networking. You can filter by major and location, all other majors, all the other filters, the things that we asked you when you signed up, all those are here for you. And you can find people who served in your mission. You can find people who are from the same country as you or graduated within a certain time frame. Even Myers-Briggs type, if you want to find someone who has the same personality type as you. This is all from the alumni's perspective. So you can find other people around you using these filters. Let me just go ahead and clear these and then show you something I'm quite excited about. So Gail, what we have here now, and those who are just learning about your first time, so it's not new at all, but you're just expecting this. You have both those who have signed up for the platform as well as others who haven't yet signed up, but who we have as alumni. So BYU-Hawaii, we've never had an alumni directory, just basic alumni directory. We haven't had one in the past, and we will now, or I guess you could say do now, but this will be improving. So if I click on this, it's not only going to show me those who have signed up, but all those whose accounts we've kind of preloaded, kind of locked and loaded, waiting to be activated. Those 10,000 people are out here now. And you can see I can view these in a number of different ways. I can see this tile representation. I can see something that's a little bit more like an Excel rows, right? And I can see a little bit more information about those people. And then the big kicker here, I love so much, I can throw them onto a map. And in a Google Map interface, I can actually see a representation of where our alumni are all around the world. And so if I'm an alum and I'm living in Japan, I can come zoom in here to Japan and it starts to disaggregate a little bit. I can see that down here around Osaka, there are 6 people and these are their names. And if they had already activated their account, I could click on this and connect with them straight away. I'll show you that with one where I know someone has. If I'm in the Philippines and I want to connect with Elder Lee, the Area Authority 70 there, one of our very engaged alumni, I could come here, open up his profile straight away, and start the connecting process. Sending him a message, which, by the way, preserves the privacy of my private contact information and his, or setting up a meeting request where I'm choosing one of these subjects. I need some geographic advice. I'm moving neighborhoods in the Philippines. I need some advice about moving into downtown Manila where Brother Lee lives. I'll ask for that sort of thing. It'll be a video call. I'll choose some times that work for me in hopes that those times might work for him as well. Right? Change the time zone to be Philippines because well, it would already be that. But anyhow, I would make sure that this message is what I want it to say, or I could change it, and then I'd hit send, and it would recommend those meeting times to George, and he could choose whether or not he wanted to meet with me during that time or suggest new times. And that's how you go about connecting with someone. If you haven't tried that already, I really encourage you to do so. You should check that out. It's really what this system is about, is getting you to connect with others just for one-off meetings. Okay, so that helps us find alumni around us. That was what I said our first use case was for alumni. The second was as an organized way of organizing ourselves into our chapters of people who are around us. And so the group feature does that. Does the group feature do that better than like Facebook would? Maybe not, actually. A lot of it's pretty much the same sort of features. I can come in here to the China chapter. I can see, actually, let me go into one that I've already joined. That might make more sense. Let's do Washington State chapter, for example. I can come in here, see the other members, and come in here and search through the other members. I can join in discussion forums there. Look at resources that they've posted. Those are, again, like blog articles and other helpful links that they may have, and events that pertain just to the chapter. Obviously, a lot of this is still getting off the ground, so there's nothing in these categories, but you can see how that would work. We're quite excited about that. Again, this is maybe a little bit less unique because public social media do give us some of these functionality, but still it's unique because this provides a little bit more of a safe environment. Again, you're not sharing your personal contact information with anyone until you actually want to. you know, it has a complete listing of all of our alumni, just not just those that are using, say, Facebook or LinkedIn. Okay, and then if someone's ever abusing it, we have total control. If someone's like doing or saying something inappropriate, there's a place where I can show you here in a minute where you can flag that person as being inappropriate. We will remove them from the system. Okay, the other one that I said is sharing jobs. This again is similarly empty right now, but this is something we're quite excited about, and we think this is something that could be really cool. So I have actually a poll that I would like to ask, though, to see if you think this is cool. So I will throw that up right now. You might be seeing it on your screen. The question here is about a job sharing board. A job sharing board like this that just allows you to either post jobs or apply for jobs. This is a, choose many. If you'd like to choose multiple of these options, choose all that apply. How would you use a jobs feature like this? Is this helpful to you? Again, it's not totally unique. There are other job boards out there, and this wouldn't be like the one job board to rule them all by any means. But it would be a useful place for alumni to share jobs just with other alumni. If I'm running a business and I want to find someone who I know has that integrity and character that BYU-Hawaii stands for, then I could come in and post that job here within this feature, and it goes just to my fellow alumni. I could also, if I'm trying to find a job. The other case there, like I said on that second option down, is sharing jobs I'm aware of, but just not responsible for. So I work for a company, ABC Corp, and there's a job opening I'm aware of, and hey, I'd love to take and share that out with my fellow alumni, throw that out there. So anyhow, give you a second to vote on that while I read what's in the chat box. Yes, Gail, we are recording this. So cool. So it sounds like you're having a good experience. You said that a student reached out to you, so that's good to hear. Yep. Yes, yep. We're recording, so we're good. Okay, so yeah, that's how the polling feature works. I got your responses. Appreciate that. Looks like people would have general interest across all those categories, so that's cool to see. All four of those categories could be interesting to people. Well, let's move on down the line. Other ways of just organizing the Alumni Association. Up here, this top-level discussion forum is generally a place for us to post questions of the group. One place in which this is easy to understand, a use case that made sense to me, and I thought, oh, good thing we're enabling something like this. Alfred Grace of the Polynesian Culture Center, so of the PCC, asked recently a question. He said, Mark, how would I find if there was someone in the Alumni Association, an alumnus out there somewhere, who might sell textiles? We're looking for a certain pattern material, and I'd love to buy it from an alum if we could. And I thought, I don't know how to answer that question. Maybe we'll send a bunch of emails out and try to track it down. Actually, we were able to get an answer the old school way, but I thought it would be so nice if we didn't have to be the middle person to answer that question. What if President Grace could log in as an alum himself and post that question to the community and find out options that we as middle people are unaware of. Now, the middleman can help, but doesn't always know everything. So put it out there to the community and see what comes back. So that's one way in which a discussion forum question could be used. Could be many other ways. We have here a couple questions. We invite people to engage here and get involved. Now, it sounds like I'm hearing some background noise. I wonder if that's you, Kenny. It sounds like it may be. I'm just going to mute you. If any of my fellow panelists, though, do have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and chip in. Sound like that wasn't a question. That was just inadvertent noise. Great. Let's keep going. Resources here. This is where, again, we're sharing information with you. So we have a welcome tab, some basic information here. We'll have a lot more orientation videos coming out soon, and we'll post those here under the welcome tab. Career resources. In a moment, I'm going to talk about Handshake. I'll come back to that in a minute and explain what that is. It's a way of posting jobs to students. Whereas this tab here we've just looked at, and this article explains that, is for sharing jobs with other alumni. If you want to hire students, we're going to direct you to this system called Handshake. I'll talk about that. Anytime we have other resources that we want to share with alumni too to help you with jobs, one is this resume reviewing tool that's really handy called VMOC. We'll throw up a link to those sites and push out other information there. Career resource is something that, because we're an alumni and career services department, we'll always have a lot to offer alumni about career resources. Spotlights is another category. We can make any of these categories, but this is one we made. We thought this was cool. When we learn about other alumni who have cool stories to share, we thought we'd put them up here. And then there's and student spotlights as well. So here's Nathan Neely. You should really come and read this. He and his friends, his fellow students, have made a pretty cool tool for making sure that babies don't die in the womb. It actually passively monitors babies' heartbeats with an app. It's really cool. But if you look under, I'm going to take a break from my little tour along the top bar here and just dive into my preferences. Show you this for a second. My preferences. You can see that one of the options I have is of being notified with a newsletter digest here. On a monthly basis, I'll get an emailed newsletter that just shows all the activity and things that are going on in here. We are going to discontinue doing our normal e-newsletter, or at least do it only on an annual or semi-annual basis. And most of the time, on a monthly basis, what we hope that our alumni will receive, I mean, you can turn it off if you don't want it. We hope that our alumni will leave that checked and get a summary of what's going on out here in this community, on this platform. It'll send out all of our most recent resources, including these alumni spotlights and student spotlights. So it's kind of like it already is what we're trying to do, and it's even better because it has not only that, but other information we might post, like new alumni benefits. Kenny, who just joined the call here, is working on this as a project he's passionate about, of helping us get more alumni benefits. Presently, the only stuff we have are on-island benefits. Our off-island things, insurance and Disneyland tickets, those have dried up. The providers have not renewed their offer. But we have desire to spread out the number of benefits that we're offering, and we'll be sharing those here under the benefits tab. So you'll see those in the newsletter. If you just keep the newsletter active, you'll see those. Gail asks, can you auto set some of these on, like the newsletter, so they have opt-out versus opt-out versus opt-in? I don't know, actually, Gail. I think when people log in, it's just automatically set to being that checkbox there under preferences is set. And then it's checked like that. So I'm not sure if people can opt in. I think it's set to opt out. Lastly, though, let me just show you how we're thinking about events. Obviously, you found this event somehow. So the webinar here, how to make blah, blah, blah. So we're thinking of doing a number of these webinars in a number of different ways. So this is, for example, a career workshop. We call it, that's of the type. But here's another type of event we could do, My Story Since BYU-H. We've got this one scheduled, and we want everyone to join us on this. This is next Thursday. We're going to learn about Dennis Williams, one of our awesome alumni who's down in the islands just adding value, tearing it up. He's graduated from the university, and now he's down there using his IT skills and really making a difference down in the islands. So we're excited to hear how he's done that. It's good for other alumni. Alumni to alumni networking, again, you can join this webinar and hear how other alumni are living and maybe reconnect. If you know Dennis from school and haven't talked to him for a while, that's a fun thing to do. But then now as I transition to showing the perspective of, or the value of this system to students, think of it as a student. How cool is that to be able to log into an event and just hear kind of, it's almost like office hours with an alum, right? Where many people can join in. Many students can join in and ask questions, type in their questions to the alum. So it's kind of a one-to-many mentoring session. You can think of it that way. So it should be a pretty cool event. That'll be something that both alumni and students are invited to. Other types of events we're thinking of adding on, and we actually, this has been greeted with a lot of excitement, is this idea of doing like Ask Me Anything, brown bag lunches with university administration and faculty. So I'm just really excited to get this scheduled once we get more of our alumni in. Do this later on, so we're not wasting President Tanner's time. But a brown bag lunch sort of webinar with President Tanner. Just while man's got to eat lunch sometimes. So even though he's busy, let's have him while he's eating lunch one day. Eat lunch with the alumni and do that on a webinar like this, where he can ask, people can ask questions of him, and he can talk and share some time with alumni. I think that's just going to be cool. We can do that on a recurring basis with all of our administrators, all of our faculty. That's a way of bringing the campus back to the alumni wherever you are, allowing you to continue to feel that spirit of aloha from home. And we'd love to add others. And in fact, you can add others too. So this is similar to the discussion forum. You can come in here and create an event. As a non-admin, you're going to be able to see just community event. And you can come through here and make an event that you think is worthwhile. It can be at this community-wide level, university-wide level, or you can do the same thing here within groups that you may join. If it's just something that pertains to a more local set of alumni, you can do that in the groups feature. You can come in here, add an event. It won't automatically be published. We're going to need to approve it just to make sure, well, make sure you're doing good things. We trust that you will be, but someone could have used this, obviously, so we'll approve the events, but then they would be added in here as well. So please get your creative hats on and join us in that. So, okay, that's the alumni perspective. I think I've seen, I'm learning how to use the software. Questions and answers, chats have been answered, so I'm just going to keep going, okay? Let's flip over to, unless my colleagues, again, anything, there's a juncture point. Anything you guys want to say? Okay, jump in if you feel like there's something you want to say. Students. Now, earlier I said students need both deep and broad mentoring. It's really answered in these first two tabs. Broad is right here. They're seeing the same thing that you saw as an alum. Students can come in here and filter and say, hey, show me alumni and friends of the university, non-alumni, but who have come in and been approved to provide value to our students, who work in food and beverage, in, let's just apply that for sake of argument, in, well, since we're already down to one, I'll go ahead and just hit Provo. But people who work in food and beverage in Provo. And what this has done is shown exact matches and then added a line and shown other, other guesses, other matches down here. And I like what it's done. It's shown both the users, people like Jody who have signed up and Corey, but people who haven't quite signed up yet, so all these other people, it shows who they are. Now, to contact someone who hasn't yet registered for the system, I know that they haven't yet registered for the system because it says happy to be here, happy to be here. You click on their thing and you'll see that there's no opportunity to connect with them, right? So anyways, but regardless, they're seeing who these people are, and they can ask us to help connect with them if they haven't logged in yet. We can invite them to log in. But let's just say he wanted to reach out to Scott, same thing here, right? So I'm a student, but it's really the same thing. I'm going to read over the bio. I'm going to learn more about them. I could hop off and learn about, more about him on his LinkedIn profile. I could do that. There'd be no discouragement. We don't see these platforms as competing, right? So learn about the person as much as you can. Much of that information is here, but go learn about it as much as you want, and then connect, request a meeting, suggest some things. Hey, I'm looking for someone who can help me practice interviewing and review my resume before I apply for a food and beverage job that I have there in Provo. Set up the meeting time, and away they go. So that's how they could get broad exposure, multiple one-off meetings, informational interviews. Sometimes we call them flash mentoring sessions, whatever you call them. They're short 30-minute calls you have with someone who has been where you are now and can look back and provide you some good advice. And the more of those that our students get, the broader of a perspective they have on themselves and on their scenario, and they can make better decisions. We're excited about that. We're excited that they may have access to, even if it were 275, let alone 10,000, we're excited to open up that opportunity for them. Long-term, deep or profound kind of boundary spanning, or I guess long-term guidance. That's the next one, and that shows up here on programs. Across the tabs, you'll notice that students don't see the jobs tab that alumni saw. And you'll notice this programs tab wasn't there for alumni, not yet. We're going to turn it on for alumni shortly, but presently we have it turned on just for students. What a program is within BYU-H Connect is a long-term structured mentorship, not just a one-off meeting, but a long-term structured mentorship that's designed to accomplish a certain specific purpose. So we're currently building these out right now. Life and career planning, for example, is a program that will have a number of specific outcomes where students can identify who they want to become by the time they die. It's like this one's really big scale, right? Who do I want to become before I die? Where am I coming from? What are my gifts and strengths? What's my life story? How did I get to my present situation? What is this here? Where do I currently stand? What options are in front of me? And what's my near-term road ahead? Where do I go from here? What's nice about this, and we're still building this out, this as an example, of course, is that we then can provide a number of different goals that someone does to answer those sorts of questions to achieve that outcome. So it's going to be, have an initial meeting between the mentor and the student. Set up a call, review a review of patriarchal blessing, for example. Take the Myers-Briggs type indicator survey, and get that information gathered, things the student does independently, but then comes back and reports to the mentor. And this is that bridge that we talked about, the thing that connects the experience. This is just one example. Another program could be one like this, where students are coming in as brand new freshmen, and they're being paired with a peer mentor, someone who is actually not an off-campus mentor, but another on-campus mentor, a student, a senior or a junior, who's now in this regard coming in as a mentor, even though they're still a student, guiding an incoming student through the process of navigating their way onto campus, even connecting with them before they ever leave home. And that would be the value of using this tool for this video chat feature. And so you can see how that works. So anyways, we're quite excited about that. I won't go into that a lot because I think mostly alumni may be watching this, and students will be polishing this much more before you get in. But that's kind of the idea. And so when this goes live for all parties, both students and alumni, we'll invite you to come in here. You'll find the program, and you'll be able to join it. Right now you can't, but you'll be able to join it, and then you'll be paired at a certain match date. You'll be paired with another party, and away you'll go down the track of tasks that we'll have pre-identified, and those that you may add into the system as well. You'll be able to add goals as well. All right, so that's the idea of a structured, long-term, goal-oriented, long-term mentorship. The groups tab is out here as well. So what we love about this is that students can join the same chapters and groups that alumni are joining and be in with them long before graduation. They're already networking with those people and communicating with them before graduation day comes. Same thing out here on the discussion forum. This is alumni and students together. So students can be answering questions, seeing questions from alumni, posting questions of their own, and alumni and students can be interacting here very organically in a really a community fashion. Resources are the same, categories are the same. What shows up is a little bit different. So we can put different things in here. For example, that jobs resource is obviously absent, and that's because they don't have that here. I mentioned talking about Handshake earlier, and that's what I meant is now. Now is when I'm going to talk about Handshake. Handshake is a separate platform, separate tool, which is similar to People Grove in the sense that it gets the career center out of the middle. No more need to be the middleman. In this case, it's not between students and alumni, or alumni and alumni, but it's between students and an employer, a campus recruiter. Traditionally, campus recruiters have come to offices like ours and said, hey, can you produce me a resume book of all students who are graduating within this time frame from this major, who are interested in working in this location or in this industry. And we have been the intermediary. We hustle together and find all those resumes and share them. That's the reason they come to career centers to do that is because they can't do that on LinkedIn. You can't get that specific on LinkedIn as a recruiter. You can't say, show me kids at this university with this GPA, with this major. You can't do that on LinkedIn or any other public social network. You can do it through a career center, and now you can do it through Handshake. You can. I said, yes, you can, not can't. You can do that through Handshake. That's what Handshake enables. And so as any alumni who may be watching this call, if you have jobs that you want to share with alumni, with students rather, if you have jobs that you want to post to students, you want to recruit students, we highly encourage you to use Handshake. That can be found, a short link we've made is recruit.byuh.edu. Recruit.byuh.edu will lead you into Handshake, automatically approve you to post jobs to BYU Hawaii, and off you go. you and your company can begin recruiting students from not only BYU-Hawaii, I'm pleased to say, but also all of the CES schools, LDS Business College, BYU Idaho, and BYU. All of us, as of this fall, will be using Handshake. So cool stuff. Events tab is there as well. Now, I wanted to shift and ask another poll. Alumni, so I'm going to flip to the alumni side. Actually, what I'm going to do is flip to the view that faculty and staff have. Faculty and staff, you'll see that they see a lot of the same things: events, resources, discussion, groups, programs, explore the Ohana. They also see this one, advise students. So with this platform, we have the opportunity of enabling the student and alumni connection to actually go both ways. Students can reach out to alumni, but if we enable it, and we have not yet, if we enable it, we can allow alumni to reach out to students. We've enabled it for faculty and staff because that's our daily bread. Nothing new here, just enables it technologically. But for alumni, this would be new feature. So my next poll asks whether you as an alum would be interested in using a feature like this to reach out to students proactively. We've asked a lot of students whether they're interested in doing that. We've asked them if they would be okay with that. And honestly, some aren't. Some aren't, but a lot are. They think it's really nice that alumni might help them get over that fear of reaching out to someone they don't know by taking that proactive first step. Some alumni are going to be too busy for that. So maybe you'll say very unlikely on my poll that's on the screen right now. But maybe you'll say very likely. Maybe it's something that you would be willing to do. Hey, I signed up for this system. I did it because I want to help students. If that's your primary driver, then don't let us get in the way. Don't wait for them to reach out to you even. You can go ahead and reach out to them. So that's what this Advise Students tab could do. We'll use it certainly on campus for reaching out to students and setting up appointments with them. It's a feature I'll talk about here in just a second. But you could do that as alumni as well if we enable it. So we're still polling, we're still testing that behind the scenes and trying to take people's opinions. I'll go ahead and close this right now. It looks like I got a couple of responses for hard to say and another one that's very likely. So that'll be fun to continue asking people. I guess I can share the results. Check that out. Those were the results. A third of you said very likely. 2 of you out of 3 that are watching this live, hopefully others will watch the recording, said hard to say. So we'll continue asking that question and keep looking into that. And lastly, before I jump to my closer and then maybe open to questions, is I just want to share that there's one more thing I don't have the opportunity to share it here or show it, is that we'll be adding on a calendar booking tool into this. The calendar booking tool will be used mainly on campus, and it will enable students to schedule appointments with alumni, academic advisors, a different A word, academic advisors, those of us here in the Career Center, financial aid counselors, maybe even librarians and tutors. And then the kicker I think is awesome, faculty for office hours. They'll come in and use BYU-Hawaii Connect. There'll be a tab added for students here that will say schedule appointments or something like that. And advising, perhaps it'll say. And allow them to schedule appointments with us in a way that will look very much like the following. So let me just I can't demo the whole thing, but I can show you what it would look like if they reached out to a faculty member who had already synced their calendar. So I'm going to search for Brother Joel Reese, my neighbor, guy who helped me test this out a little bit. Joel is an assistant professor here on campus, teaches in our exercise sports science program. And if I was a student and wanted to request just office hours with him, and I wanted to talk about preparing for graduate school, something that, they do a lot over there in EXS, and it was just going to be an in-person meeting, rather than proposing times, because Joel's synced his calendar, I can automatically see the times when he's available. So I can see that he's open. This is Thursday, March 24th here in Hawaii. That's still tomorrow. And I can see that he's open at these different times. By clicking 11 a.m. and clicking next and then sending a little message, I'm not requesting an appointment with him. I'm automatically shooting an appointment onto his calendar. he's synced his calendar. It could have been a Google Calendar, an Outlook calendar, or any sort of calendar, iCalendar. And anyways, he's allowed the system to show times within certain time frames, certain blocks of when he's available. You can see that those were all in 15-minute increments. That was something of his choosing. And it goes from 9 until, well, he did it till 5, 9 to 5 all day long. But that frame could have been shorter. You could have said 15-minute increments from 10 a.m. to noon, and then you'd just see those 8 appointment slots there, and students could choose those. And when they're filled, they'd be gone. And then they'd have to look for another day. This is with an API embed of calend.ly. If you're familiar with calend.ly, you might recognize this interface. So it makes it super easy for us to schedule appointments. That's just a little teaser. More about that later, and really just benefits the students. Let me move on now to my closing curtains comment, the closing comment. This is something that we're doing at BYU-Hawaii, but we're actually not doing it alone. Over the last 10 months, I and about 30 of my dearest friends across the CES system, one of them is Gail Singhley, who's on this call, have been working together to look for a platform that could not only serve the individual needs of one institution, but elegantly address the needs and the opportunity of the entire CES system. The entire CES system in the real world, and by CES, of course, I mean church education system, we have a lot in common, but we have some distinct brands, some distinct programming, and really we're asked to operate autonomously. We have unique administrators and different charges and things like that. We have our own self-governance needs. And so we wanted to find a solution that, but what do we have in common? I guess we have in common is this same affinity for the cause, right? The high level cause is the church. And if we're not church members, we may feel kind of across the board. Yeah, you graduated from BYU-Hawaii, I graduated from BYU, you graduated from LDS Business College, it's all kind of the same. So why not maybe support each other? So even though I didn't graduate from BYU-Hawaii or ever, I don't have a kid there or anything, but I graduated from BYU. I'd be interested in helping BYU-Hawaii kids if they needed help moving to Japan, where I live. I'd be sure to help them. We want to open that up. And so what we've done, what we're in the process of trying to do here with People Grove is enable a CES-wide solution, mentoring. So this is what it looks actually like when you first log in, or could look like. Let's go out here. A worldwide mentoring platform for the entire CES community. This is a sandbox environment we popped up last year. It's still out there. It's imperfect. It's not polished at all. But and in fact, most people don't know about that it exists. It's not meant to know that it exists. It's just a sandbox environment. But it shows something very valuable. Once you log into this, it looks like this. And this is, again, a dummy environment from what you just saw is live. This is something that we were testing last summer. It still stands today, the test does, because we love showing people this idea. This button is absent on the live platform, what we're actually doing here. It's absent, you'll notice that. But when we go live with the multiple universities, what will be present is a little button right here that connects you across the system. So whereas here we're within the BYU-Hawaii instance, I can flip over here and now I'm looking into LDSBC's environment, an environment where I have a different role. At BYU-Hawaii, I'm a faculty staff member, but LDS Business College, I'm just a friend of the university. I'm an other professional. And they can term me whatever they want. They can create the user types, whatever they want them to be. For example, if I wanted to browse all of them and see that I still need to join the BYU system here, I can jump into that, and I'm going to have to first answer what type of person am I. I'm not a student. I'm actually an alum. So I would go through this process of verifying that I'm an alum, answering whatever onboarding questions they may have for me, and then I'm going to be able to join this system as well. And what's going to be different than the BYU-Hawaii is everything at this blue bar and below, which again over here is all these tabs, all of the experience down here, the resources, the discussion feed, the groups, the programs, the events. Everything at this second bar and below is unique to what we call the hub, to the university. But everything that's above is actually common across all the universities. So up here, for example, I hadn't jumped into the inbox yet earlier. I wanted to show you that now. When you're in the inbox, here I'm seeing the past communications I've had with students I've helped in the past. This is where you can report a negligent or abusive user, where you can say, hey, this person's using this system inappropriately, where I can schedule new meetings with a student I've already met with, where I can quickly fire up, initiate a video call, or just exchange written text communications with that student. And what's cool about this is, since this is now a multi-university environment, it shows me both that student, Talihiva, that I met at BYU-Hawaii, and that student, Nicole, that I met at BYU in Utah, BYU Provo, right? BYU. So in this unified inbox, I'm seeing all my communication into one kind of centralized source. I also have one profile here. I don't have to sign in and sign out to jump in between these universities. I can see the job postings I've put across the entire system, the events that I've posted across the entire system, things like that. My profile, my preferences, my communication settings, that's unified here across the entire system. It shows me the information for all of the universities that I've joined, all these hubs that I've joined. Pretty cool. To make it even broader, you'll notice, maybe you already did notice, we've got one on here, LDS Church. We've been partnering with the Self-Reliance Services Department of the church. I'm by no means making an announcement here, but we have been working with them to perhaps see if they would like to use this tool for meeting some of the needs that they have with individuals who have participated in the 12-week self-reliance courses and perhaps need ongoing support thereafter, or want to provide that sort of support. They could do that through a platform like this. And if we're all on the same platform, it's a good idea, right? I hope you think it's a good idea. If we're all on the same platform, it really opens up our network. Our network is the most amazing, this LDS Mormon CES network, whether you're Mormon or not. The BYU network and church network is most vibrant, powerful network in the world, and we're just not activated. This would bring us all onto one system in a pretty cool way. And again, a way that taps into our shared affinities while respecting our individual programming and branding and needs for self-governance. So that's kind of my closing comment. Back to the live system. If you're in here, we hope that you're experimenting with these features, trying these things out. Please get in here, explore the Ohana, meet somebody new, come over here to the discussion board and submit a question, get the conversation started. We'll see that. We'll engage with you there as well as members of the community. And we'll put on more of these webinars and explain things, answer questions that may show up here, common questions. We can always get together. And now we just have a platform, a way of getting together more officially, more safely, more consistently. And anyways, we're excited about it. I hope that you can help us learn how to really use this tool, though. I'm sure there's things that we think it's good for that or don't know that it's good for that actually is. So we're excited to hear your feedback and hear what your thoughts are. I'm going to see if my colleagues have anything to comment, if there's any questions from the group, and then we might just wrap up. Gail, can you auto set some of these on? Oh, and that was a question from before. This has been great. Thanks again, Mark, for being willing to bring these insights to the rest of us. Sure thing, Gail, and anybody else out there with questions or thoughts, please, you can always email those to connect.byuh.edu. If it pertains to this system, you can send them that way, connect.byuh.edu. Get on the phone, come visit us if you're ever on campus for sure. So if my colleagues don't have anything to add, we'll go ahead and wrap up. I'll stop the share here and we'll end it there. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.